This is day 2 of Rally Finland, a high-speed celebration of the best of motorsport in the Finnish forests. The home drivers normally rule here, and so far this has been the case in 2007. But the early leader was not the Finnish name everybody expected to see at the top. Marcus Gronholm has won 6 of the last 7 Finnish events and is a hot favourite this year. But the man quickest out of the blocks was Jari-Matti Latvala, who led after stage 2. But concentration is essential on these high-speed forest roads, and the 22-year-old lost his when his door seal popped out on stage 3. The result, he went off the road and lost 2 minutes.
I lost my concentration, stalled the engine in this junction, a little bit too much heat, and kilometer after that, off the road, we went backwards to the ditch. Stupid mistake.
He was later forced to retire when he went off and damaged his Ford Focus's roll cage. But it was still Finns in Focuses out in front as Marcus Gronholm and his teammate Mikko Hirvonen took control. Gronholm won 8 of yesterday's 10 stages to Hirvonen's 1, but Mikko was never more than a few tenths of a second behind, so at the end of the day Gronholm's lead was less than 5 seconds. He still has a lot of work to do if he's to take a record-equalling 7th Rally Finland victory. Sebastian Loeb is in the unaccustomed position of trailing Gronholm in the World Championship standings. Finland is one of the few rallies he hasn't won. He could do with changing that this year, but so far his Citroen's been second best to the Finnish Fords.
I try really hard and cannot do really better, so I try to continue, but I'm on the maximum.
Loeb is 3rd, followed by 2 Subarus. Chris Atkinson is 4th, while Petter Solberg is 5th. He complained that his car was undrivable in the morning stages, but he started to find more pace in the afternoon. Solberg is nearly a minute off the lead. At the top, Gronholm leads Hirvonen by 4.4 seconds going into the second day, while Loeb is another 15.8 seconds further back. Rally Finland is based around the town of Jyväskylä in central Finland. There are 9 stages today, including 2 runs through the mighty Onimpoja test, perhaps the most formidable stage in the WRC. But we get going with stages 12 and 13. Can Sebastian Loeb put any pressure on Hirvonen and Gronholm? He admitted he had no more to give yesterday, but also stated that anything can happen at the top of the leaderboard, as he found out in Sardinia. But so far, Mikko Hirvonen, the man in front of Loeb on the leaderboard, has looked in control. Mikko lives in the Jyväskylä area and is looking very much at home on these forest stages. But nobody is more at home here than Marcus Gronholm. He was averaging speeds around and above 130 kilometers an hour on some stages yesterday and claims his 500 career stage win in the process. It's all good news so far for Marcus. Unlike Gronholm, who's competed here 18 times before, Chris Atkinson has only started Rally Finland 3 times, so the Australian is delighted to start leg 2 in 4th place. A 10-second time penalty for jumping the start of stage 13 will not help his progress though. Atkinson's teammate Petter Solberg, meanwhile, really struggled to get the Impreza handling the way he wanted yesterday morning. Although there was improvement in the afternoon. Petter closes on Atkinson again on stage 12, but the problems seem to be creeping in again on 13. He's over 15 seconds slower than his teammate.
16. Keep left of a crest and 4 right minus and 2 left minus half long tightens. Okay.
Petter clearly struggling with his steering again.
And line into 6 right long.
Loeb is on a softer tyre than his rivals, and it's definitely working. The world champion sets his first fastest time of the weekend on stage 12. So things are looking up for Citroen's #1, and he's clearly in a more positive frame of mind.
You got 20.2 seconds to make up on Marcus. Is this the start of the fight back?
That's I continue to fight, but I don't know. We'll see. I will try to change a bit the setting with the car. I'm happy with the setting now, but okay. I don't know if it will be enough to drive as fast as these two Finnish guys.
So a bit of a challenge building from the man in third. Possible concern for rally leader Marcus Gronholm. You wouldn't know it from his performance in stage 13 though. Normal service is resumed with Marcus winning the stage, Hirvonen second and Loeb third.
7 vaserin pyöräyliin, pidä sisällä. 8 ja nyt pitäys miinus hyppää.
Further back, Manfred Stoll is currently 8th and hoping to close on Henning Solberg, who's just over 12 seconds ahead, coming into stage 13.
Macht zu lang. Inkorrekt, viel kurz schnell.
Oh, but that's a huge off for the Austrian, a frightening accident and a reminder of how devastating the smallest of mistakes can be on such a fast rally. Thankfully, Manfred and co-driver Ilkka Minor appear to have escaped unharmed, but that will have been a terrifying moment for the OMV Citroën crew. Taking another look at that roll from inside the car, and you can see the forces involved in such a big accident. Stolzov sees Juho Hänninen move into the point-scoring positions. Gronholm's lead goes up to 6.3 seconds, while Hirvonen maintains his advantage over Loeb. More Rally Finland action coming up after the break, including 2 runs through the infamous Onimpoja stage. Welcome back to Rally Finland. The fans have turned out in force for one of the iconic stages of the World Championship. This is Onimpoja. One man who may be more apprehensive than most coming into this blisteringly quick 33-kilometre test is Danny Sordo. Last year, a ferocious accident ended his weekend and dented his confidence for months afterwards. Looking at the accident again, you can see why. And here is Danny this year, approaching the same crest. Somewhat cleaner through there this time. Sordo's going nicely in 6th, and he could yet improve. He's beginning to close on Petter Solberg. Solberg, meanwhile, appears to be in trouble again. The handling woes that plagued him yesterday have returned, and Petter is clearly struggling to control the Impreza. Just when it looked as though his luck was improving once again, there's more frustration for Solberg. The car is looking very twitchy.
The flat 6 right bus or crest opens extra long.
Same problem as I had yesterday morning, but even bigger again. I can't drive it. It's impossible.
Another driver in trouble is Juho Hänninen. The Finn, in his privately entered Mitsubishi Lancer, had got himself up into the points after stage 13, but a mechanical failure in Onimpoja proves terminal and marks the end of the local Heroes' Day. No such problems for Mikko Hirvonen though. He's continuing his pursuit of his teammate and is giving it everything here in one of the most spectacular stages on the planet.
oikein eri ylilipyn keskeltä. Jarru 5, pitkä oikein nopea, mene kirraa vähän ja aukeaa yli 2 nypyn. 7.
Lucky escape there for Mikko. He really is right on the ragged edge. This is a brave performance from the Finn, but there's a fine line between bravery and recklessness.
Mikko, a big moment we hear.
No, there was many big moments. I was pushing a little bit too hard and it wasn't the perfect stage, but quite scary, bloody hell.
Despite Hirvenen's best efforts, however, once again, Gronholm is fastest, beating his teammate by another 4.8 seconds. He's starting to pull away. And a much tidier line through the corner that came close to ending Hirvenen's efforts there. Gronholm, in fact, nearly doubled his lead in that stage, but Petter Solberg has now dropped to 7th, allowing Sordo and Henning Solberg to improve their positions. Chevy Pons also moves into the points after Hannonen's problems. A carnival atmosphere in the service park. Over 300,000 fans will have made the pilgrimage to Jyväskylä, and as well as the action on the stages, there's plenty to keep them entertained here too. But Marcus Gronholm will be ignoring any distractions as he heads for the next group of stages. You may have noticed Abu Dhabi livery in the Ford Focuses of Marcus Gronholm and Mikko Hirvonen. This represents a new sponsorship agreement with the Abu Dhabi Tourism Authority that was announced at a launch ceremony in the Emirates of Abu Dhabi during the summer break.
It's great for Ford, it's great for M-Sport, but I think it's fantastic news for the sport. Just already the amount of extra influx of PR people and everything that's here, which is again taking the World Championship to another area of the world.
In being awarded a Formula One Grand Prix in 2009, Abu Dhabi have already demonstrated their commitment to motorsport, and as well as backing the Ford team, they're seeking to take on a wider international role within the championship itself.
We are very glad to know that we have the Formula One in 2009, late 2009, and that will be in our homeland. So, this kind of, the difference, a scale comparison, which I think they are equally important to us. But the reach will be faster with WRC and awareness that Abu Dhabi is interested in the world of motorsports. WRC will make it happen for us.
And exactly how are you getting involved?
First of all, looking at the team that supports and the sustainable team like Ford. And the second thing is a number of involvement from the local community by having another team, which is a Middle East Rally team, and a junior team as well. So this is just to have a sustainable path that Abu Dhabi Tourism Authority would support for years to come, creating new drivers, maybe co-drivers, and the technical team that supports it and so on.
Through the involvement of the Abu Dhabi Tourism Authority for this event and for another 3 this season and 10 next season, United Arab Emirates driver Khalid Al-Qasimi, the current leader in the Middle East Championship, will be part of the Ford team.
I would like to be like the ambassador of the sport, especially in rallying for Abu Dhabi, and more or less I present the UAE and all the Middle East area. So I think it's first ever concept where you see a driver from the Middle East drives with a works team.
Does this mean one day we may see a round of the WRC in Abu Dhabi?
Yes, why not? Why not? We are dreaming to do that, and we are working hard now to prepare a plan. Hopefully very soon we'll have one of the stops in Abu Dhabi.
Back out into the forest and onto stage 15. Danny Sordo has been making good progress and came into stage 15 in 5th. But he's got a problem here, and Danny is forced to retire, and that'll be his second in as many WRC events. Engine failure causing his demise on this occasion.
Just after 10 kilometers, we had some problems with the engine. We don't know exactly. Now the engineers will check on the service.
We're with Petter Solberg now, and it looks like he's found no answers to his problems at the service stop. He's very slow through this stage. And Petter clearly not at ease behind the wheel of his Subaru here. And worse is to come on the road section. He's retired. Solberg is looking miserable, and his handling problems have proved terminal. Co-driver Phil Mills is left to do the explaining.
It started off not so good yesterday morning also, but we managed to cure most of our problems. But they seem to come back to haunt us yet again. So yes, here we are. We've had to pull out. It's just not right to continue.
Those retirements see Henning, Solberg, Chevy Ponce and Ermo Ava all moving up. The top four, though, remain unchanged. Gronholm's lead now 13.5 seconds. And back to the second run through on Empoya, where Chevy Ponce is approaching the legendary jump. A fairly reserved effort from Chevy there. Ponce, on his debut in the Subaru, is now in with a chance of a good finish here. The former Citroën driver is running 6th. Henning Solberg is now 5th. And it's now his turn to approach that big jump. And Henning's often one to put on a display for the fans. Right on the limit in 5th gear. No backing off here for Solberg. After Petter Solberg's retirement, Subaru's hopes of scoring manufacturer points now rest with Chris Atkinson. But he seems to be going strong in 4th. Pretty big jump there from the Australian, and it's another top 5 time for Chris. Sebastian Loeb, meanwhile, is continuing his quest to close on the leading pair. He must be getting frustrated at his inability to close the gap. It's certainly not for the want of trying. Seb is right on the limit through here. Next up, into on Empoya is Mikko Hirvonen. This famous stage has actually been broken in half for the last 2 years in an attempt to keep the average speeds down. But this dramatic stretch of road is back to its original 33 kilometres, with 3 chicanes added to keep the top speeds under control. Hirvonen loves flying through the air in his Focus, so expect an impressive leap here. Wow, the crowd loving every minute of this, as I'm sure is Mikko.
Mikko, the time's up. You're quicker than Sebastian, sweating a lot, but do you think it's good enough to get some time back on Marcus?
Well, if I get something, it's not going to be a lot, and still the small road, I'm not happy on my driving over the big road. It was very good, but it's a scary stage. I was a bit scared in the start from the morning, but it went well, very good.
Hirvonen is the fastest through so far, but you can be sure that his teammate will have something to say about that. Marcus Gronholm is less spectacular over the big jumps, preferring to keep his wheels on the ground as much as possible to maintain his momentum. And once again, his technique has proven very effective. Finish boards coming up. And the double world champion is 3 seconds faster than Hirvonen.
You've just edged it out a bit more, another 3 seconds from Mikko.
Yeah, it's not much. I mean, I can't pull out more for the moment. He's doing a very good rally, so I have to be careful and watch him.
Gronholm's lead is now 16.5 seconds, while Hirvonen is now 23.3 seconds ahead of Loeb. Guy Wilkes completes the leaderboard in 8th. No return to Avascular for service this time. Any repairs will have to be done at the remote service stop out in the forests. And a chance for the fans to get close up to their heroes. 4 more stages to go today. You can see a roundup of those after the break. Highlights of the final stages of this second day of Rally Finland coming up, but first a roundup of what's happening down the leaderboard. Estonia's Ermo Aava is still in 7th. This would be a great result for him if he's still there at the end of tomorrow. Norway's Mads Osberg in the privately entered Subaru is currently in the final point-scoring position in 8th. Spectacular jump was from Guy Wilkes. He had been battling with Osberg, but the impact from that landing caused a hydraulic problem which cost him time, but he's still 9th. Jan Kopecky in the Skoda Fabia is up to 10th, and that despite a 50-second penalty for arriving late at a time control yesterday. Matthew Wilson is in 11th. The young Englishman has been dealing with these stages well today, although he did have this slip-up on stage 14.
30, slight left and over jump care, 40 right, 4 plus in. 40.
Luckily, Matthew's error not as serious as some we've seen on this blisteringly quick rally.
Go on, mate, come on.
But we're back with the leading runners now. Here's the best action from the final 4 stages of leg 2. Chevy Ponce is looking set to end the day in 6th. After losing his seat with Citroën, this Subaru drive is a big chance to resurrect his career. He's making the most of it so far. Henrik Solberg likes to put on a show for his fans, but so far there have been few fireworks from the Norwegian. But this is a very solid performance. He's 5th.
Meter kort 5 pluss, 60. Line til 3 høyre pluss, åpner til flatt over krøn 100.
Chris Atkinson was 4th in the opening event of the season, Monte Carlo. His performances have been inconsistent since. Can driver and car keep it together in Finland? The sign so far is that they can. Sebastian Loeb is still ahead of Chris Atkinson in 3rd. He won the first stage of the day, but he's been second best to the Fords since. It's looking like only a mistake from Hirvonen or Gronholm will allow Loeb to break their stranglehold on the event. And here is Hirvonen. He's been giving it everything today, really driving on the edge. He's developing into a driver in the true Finnish style. One day he may be spoken of in the same terms as Juha Kankkunen or Tommi Mäkinen. Marcus Gronholm is already among the legends of Finnish rallying, and his performance today shows why. After Loeb's win on the opening stage, Gronholm won the next 6, his run ending on stage 19, which was won by Hirvonen, who also won the final stage, number 20. But Marcus is still the master today. And Gronholm will take a lead of just over 20 seconds into the final day. Hirvonen has an advantage of over 40 seconds on Sebastian Loeb, while Chris Atkinson in 4th is another minute and 41 seconds behind.
Sebastian, it's the end of day 2. It's still 3rd overall. You've given it a good go, but you just can't catch the 2 in front of you. Is it 3rd now for tomorrow and just play safe?
Yeah, what can we do? We tried as hard as possible all the first and second day, and it's not possible to beat the 2 Fords. So tomorrow we just try to keep the car on the road, yes, and to finish in this position.
What are you more pleased about, your performance towards Marcus or the chunk of time you've taken out of Sebastian?
My performance against Marcus. I mean, he's been winning the rallies since past years, and if you can fight a little bit against Marcus, I'm sure that in the future you can say that one day you're going to win the rally.
Tomorrow is only 3 stages, just over 40 Ks. Hopefully, teammate behind you can maybe have a word at him tonight just to stay in second so you can win?
I don't think so, Malcolm will say him, but maybe he's not trying tomorrow anything crazy. I don't know, but I'm prepared to fight to the end.
You can find all the latest news from Rally Finland at WRC.com and make sure you join us tomorrow for the highlights of the final day.